How is everyone? Give y'all a few minutes to come on in and expand my notes so that I don't have to wear my glasses. Because y'all know I'm resistant towards wearing my glasses, but I have them here as backup. Woo. Okay. I'm on 48, so I can see. So funny. Why am I so resistant to aging? Why am I so resistant to aging? Good evening. As you are coming in, let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know who's in the room. All right. I think I'm gonna turn the AC off. Should I turn the AC off? Do feel a little cold. Hey, Renee. Did you get my notification from ATL? I love ATL. Do you have your notifications on? Is that how you found me already? So quickly? For those of you who watch the replay, turn your notifications on because I do not set an exact time of when I'm coming in. I do come on Monday to Fridays at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every morning for a short message, so you can catch me live then. But at night, I don't have a set time. Unless you're in my private group, my membership group, then you would have a set time. Oh! You came up automatically. Is Amara watching me too? Amara, are you there? All right, so I don't want to keep the wait too long for those of you who watch the replay. So we're going to get into this topic in a moment. She's here. Hello, Amara. All right. Ooh, what happened to my computer? Hey, Iris. Welcome, welcome. All right. So let's get into it. So the topic, as you see on the title here, if you're watching the replay, it is how to respond to narcissists when they apologize. So, of course, this would apply to you if you're still in the relationship, right? And you're going through your highs and lows, your ups and downs. And they apologize. And normally you wouldn't ask this question, like, how do I respond when someone apologizes? But because the relationship has so many highs and lows, so many ups and downs, you see such a drastic change and fluctuation in their mood, you get thrown off sometimes and you get confused, which is exactly how they like you to be, is confused. If you're out of the relationship and you may get an apology. For those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Nailah Abdullah. I'm a mental health therapist turned toxic relationship coach, but I also have experience with narcissistic relationships, both family and romantic. And at the end of my, not at the end, after my narcissistic relationship, 10-year relationship, part of it was marriage, I got cursed out and I got apologies. I got a mixed salad. And for those of you who are already out of the relationship, you may notice that as well. Welcome, Chris. Welcome. Good evening. And it did leave me confused because I'm like, one minute you're saying, you know, you're cursing me out, you're disrespecting me, and the next minute you are apologizing to me. And it does leave you confused as to, you know, is this genuine Do you really, like the things I was being told when I was being not being cursed out, but when I was being apologized to was, I see where I was wrong, I should have done better, etc., etc. But when I didn't respond in the way he wanted me to, that's when I would get cursed out. And let me just add a side note, that communication got cut quickly, okay? So don't stick around if you were being disrespected. But when you get apologies, you can be left confused. So we're gonna get into that tonight. And not only how to respond towards them, but how to respond to yourself as well. Because for those of you who don't know me, or those of you who do know me, I don't only want to just talk about them, but also how can you move forward, okay? Welcome to the channel. Glad you're here, but I don't want you to be here next year, right? I want you to be in a different space in your life where you have more clarity about this situation and you can move on peacefully, right? That's the goal, is that we all have peace. So again, the question is how to respond to a narcissist when they apologize. First of all, the first point I want to make is that you want to understand the nature of the beast. Okay? If you're calling them a narcissist, then what is the nature of a narcissist, right? It's so important to do that because I know we live in an era where we're learning all this terminology and we're using these words, but what does it really mean, right? So if we want to say, how do I respond to a narcissist, not only when they apologize, but for anything, what is the nature of the beast? What is the narcissist, right? That is someone who is manipulative. So you want to keep that in mind when you want to think, how do I respond? There's someone who are manipulative. There's someone who will exploit you for your kindness, for your loyalty, right? They cannot be trusted, right? They like to break people, right? They like to raise you up, bring you up, and then they like to break you as well, right? So you want to think about, don't just take my word for it, but really think about, okay, how do I deal with a narcissist when they apologize, but how do I deal with a narcissist in general? Right? Y'all know, for those of you who know me, I always like to compare it to the animal kingdom. If you're out in the jungle, you see a small puppy compared to a snake, right? You're going to deal with those two animals different. So you need to think about what is the nature of the beast. That will determine how you deal with them, right? Different rules apply, right? That's something I often say, different rules apply. If you see a puppy, you're not going to deal with it the same way that you see a snake as you're walking down the road, right? So understand the nature of the beast. Do not feel like you have to deal with them in the same way that you deal with other people, because they are not other people, right? They have a destructive personality. And let me put a disclaimer that I didn't say in the beginning. When we talk about narcissists, yes, we're talking about people that we see narcissistic traits, but even if you only consider them toxic, right, which means destructive to your well-being, this also applies, okay? So step one is understanding the nature of the beast, who you're dealing with. Understanding that, okay, when I think, how do I respond to this person? I don't have to treat them in the same way that I treat other people, because their nature, their character is completely different. So keep that in mind as we continue to answer this question. So when you say, how do I respond to a narcissist? And I see your comments coming in. Welcome, welcome. If you have any questions, I will get to them at the end. How do you respond to them, right? So we'll break it up. How do you respond to yourself? How do you respond to them? First of all, how do you respond to them? The safest way, if you have to deal with a narcissist, you want to respond to them with low emotions. And some call that the gray rock method, right? That means you are responding to them with minimal emotions involved. Even if you feel a lot of emotions internally, you don't want to show that to them. Why? Because they will use that against you. It's like when a police officer comes up to you and is about to arrest you, they will say everything you say and do can be used against you. That is the same way these people function. So you want to minimize, you want to seem as bland, as blunt as possible, even if you feel something different internally, because they are very crafty at using that against you. Right? Now, typically here we are talking about narcissistic romantic relationships, but this applies to anything. Chris, I know you mentioned that it's your coworker. It could be, your coworker. It could be your parents. It could be your siblings. It could be friends. Whatever it is, if you still have to deal with them, you want to respond to them with low emotions, because they know exactly how to use your emotions against you. They're crafty in that way. Okay, so low emotions, gray rock method. Another way to respond to a narcissist when you're responding outwardly to them, don't seek any explanation or elaboration. Okay, so yes, they're gonna come to you. Listen, I'm really sorry. I should have done better. Okay, I understand. That's how you respond. Okay, I understand. Well, I'm glad you're in this space and I wish you all the best. Done. Okay? You don't have to not say anything at all, but if you just want to keep it amicable, keep it short. Right? Okay, I understand. Thank you for your apology. Even if you know it's not genuine, because nothing with them is, even if you know it's not genuine, just to cross that path, okay, thank you. All right, I understand. Well, I wish you all the best. I appreciate the apology. They're going to be pissed. Let me tell you that, okay? Giving them the gray rock method is going to upset them, right? But they're going to be upset anyway once they don't get their way. So you have to stick to low emotions. And like I said, don't seek any explanation. It's natural for us. It's normal for us to say, well, why are you saying sorry now? Why couldn't you say sorry before? Or, why did we have to go through all of this for it to get to the point now finally where you're apologizing, right? That's normal to want to go into that. Let me say that. So what I'm saying to you, these rules that I'm giving to you is not a natural response, right? It's not a normal response, but you have to keep in mind the nature of the beast that you're dealing with. Okay, if you want to save yourself sanity, if you are trying to come out of a narcissistic relationship, if you are already out of one, but you're still getting, communication with them and they're coming to you with an apology, you have to understand, you have to apply different rules. Okay, so do not seek any explanation. Don't ask for them to elaborate. Even though you have the urge to, suppress that urge. If you need to go into the mirror in the bathroom later on and blurt it out to yourself in the mirror, do that. But do not give it to them. Do not open yourself up. Do not open that door, because then you're opening yourself up to being manipulated, right? And to dragging out the conversation. All right. And they may try to elaborate some more too, because they want to reel you in. If they see you giving them the gray rock method, right, the low emotions, they're going to try to reel you in also. Right. So they may be willing to explain on their own, but just cut it short. No, you don't have to explain. I completely understand. I appreciate your apology. I really have to go, but I appreciate it. And I really, truly wish you all the best. Okay. So that is how you respond to them. Put a 1 in the comments if any of you are dealing with this right now. Let me know. Let me know. If any of you are dealing with this right now, and even if you're watching the replay, put a 1 in the comments. Let me know if you are dealing with any of this. Okay? The third point, so we talked about understanding the nature of the beast. We spoke about how to respond outwardly to them. Now, the most important part is how to respond internally to yourself. You see, if we don't get that internal part handled, we're going to be able to be manipulated again. Okay? So this is very, very important. If you don't already have your pen and paper out, get it out now. Okay? So how do you respond to yourself internally? First of all, you want to have low expectations for what's to follow next. In a normal situation with a healthy person who is genuinely apologizing, usually after an apology comes some type of reconciliation, right? And you start to feel at peace. You start to feel a sense of relief. Don't have those expectations when you're dealing with someone that you consider to be narcissistic or have narcissistic traits. Okay, lower your expectations because you will be disappointed. What to expect to follow next? I would say don't even expect anything. Cut it short, keep it moving. Okay? Lower your expectations. Remember, different rules apply. This is not a normal situation. Okay? The next step is to, when you're talking about how to respond when a narcissist apologizes, now we're talking about internally, remind yourself of their patterns of behavior. So what their apology is about is, 1, to reel you back in, and the second part is to get you confused. Maybe they're not as bad as I thought they were. At least they apologize. At least they understand. Maybe I should give it another chance. Maybe I'm too harsh. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm narcissistic. They want to confuse you. I don't remember the exact saying, but I heard this growing up from my parents. When you keep the basket shaking, the wicker basket with the mice in it, or crabs, don't remember which one, they will never get a chance to climb out. So so you got to keep shaking it, keep shaking it, keep shaking it. That is the same way people with toxic, narcissistic, destructive personalities want to keep you. They want to keep you on edge. They want to keep the chaos going, the conflict going, the confusion going. That's them shaking that basket so you never get a chance to settle down and climb your way out. They don't want you to get clarity. If you get clarity, they know you are out. You're gone for good. They don't want that. Okay? So remind yourself of their patterns of behavior. Write it down. I always encourage my clients to write it down. And it's so funny, when I worked in the mental health field, I often encourage people to journal, and they always talked about how good it was. But it wasn't until I went through my own narcissistic relationship that I actually started to use journaling, and it changed my life. That and God. And I journaled my prayers also. Write it down, because our mind is good at playing tricks on us. I see your comments coming, and I'll get to you in a moment at the end. Okay? Our mind is really good at playing tricks on us. So we can think, we can see clear today and be completely confused again tomorrow, because our mind tries to protect us from feeling pain. So it will cause us to forget things. It will cause us to minimize how severe the situation is. It will cause us to minimize how disrespectful the person was. And trauma also affects your memory. Trauma also affects your memory. I'm working with a lady right now. She's like, Nailah, she was working with me for a while. And she's like, Nailah, I don't remember. You remember more than I do, Nailah. It's hard. Sometimes that affects your memory more than you think, right? So it's so important to write things down, because when you start to feel confused, now you have something to go back to and remind yourself the way you were treated, the behaviors that you had to deal with and tolerate. Right? So remind yourself of the patterns of behavior. You won't be confused. It's more work, and sometimes people don't want to do the work. Sometimes people also don't want to be faced with the truth because it hurts. And if you write it down, pen and paper does not lie, right? But remind yourself of the patterns of behavior. When we're talking about responding to someone, to yourself internally, how do we respond when a narcissist apologizes? You want to have low expectations and remind yourself of the patterns of behavior. The next thing you want to do, also very important, this is something I really work on with my clients as well in the relationship detox, is be clear on what your threshold is and remind yourself of that. What is your cap? What are your requirements? What are your boundaries? Where was the line crossed? And have you had enough? You see, no one really coaches us on relationships, right? Like, I don't know about the modern day generation. I'm definitely going to educate my kids as much as possible, but I'm from the 80s. Most people I know my age and older, no one was coached on relationships. And we're not going to blame our parents. It just wasn't something that you did. It's like, just pick somebody good and, live your life. But it is so important to know what your limit is. I was speaking with someone over the week, and she was sharing with me a relationship that she was trying out. And she felt like she was doing too much explanation, too much explaining how you should talk to me. You shouldn't speak this rough to me. You shouldn't, not call me, or tell me that you're going out and have me wondering where you were when we usually speak around this time. Like, all this explanation that they have to give, right? And one of my feedback to her was, when do you think that you're doing too much? What is your threshold? What is your cap? That is so important to know, because if you don't have an idea of what that is, you will find yourself, and this is how a lot of intelligent women get caught up in narcissistic relationships, is that you find yourself over explaining to the point where the explaining turns into begging. Now you're begging the person, please act right. Please speak to me with respect. Please communicate to me. Please, our life could be so much better. You have great qualities. You have great characteristics. You have a good side, but this side, please change this side. And the explanation turns into begging. And we have to know for ourselves, like, at what point is it too much? At what point am I just going to get quiet and give you a certain amount of time to get it together? Because here's the thing. When someone really genuinely wants you and wants good for you, You see, people can want you, but not really want good for you. Sometimes they just want you because you're good for them. You're convenient for them. But when someone genuinely wants you and wants good for you, they're not going to jeopardize losing you. You're not going to have to beg them over and over and over and over. And if they see that you stop explaining yourself, they're like, oh snap, let me get it together. Right? They're going to get it together. So figure out what is your threshold. Like, I heard someone share the other day, I was on a coaching call with someone, and she said, I'm going to explain something to you once, something to you twice, but after the third time, I'm finished. You know? And I'm not saying you have to follow that, but you have to know what is your threshold. What are your requirements? How far are you going to go with explaining yourself, which turns into begging, right? So these are the things you have to do internally, because again, when a narcissist comes to you to apologize, it's going to cause internal confusion. So we spoke about how to respond to them, but it's so important to know how to respond to yourself, to combat, to counteract that confusion that you feel internally. All right? I hope that was helpful for you. I see some questions coming in, some comments. Let me see if there is anything I need to respond to. And if y'all have any questions, you can put them in now. It's so funny how there's so many bored people in this world. I pray for you guys. For those of you taking up space. But it's okay. God bless you either way. All right. You're welcome, Iris. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, well, I am going to head out. You all have a blessed day. For those of you who are looking for support, if you're watching this replay and you're looking for support to either come out of a toxic and narcissistic relationship, or you're already out of one, but you're still feeling like you're not able to really move on, go ahead and click the links in the description box below. There's different ways to work with me. I do recommend starting with the relationship detox. That's a pretty all-inclusive program. You get access to my course, the relationship detox, but I also give you a free month inside of Thrive. That is my private group coaching community. So it's a great place to start, and then from there you can see how you want to move forward. If you have any questions, you can comment below. There's also my email address down there, my website down there, my Instagram down there if you want to DM me on Instagram. So you have the option. All right? Y'all have a blessed night, and I will see you. I'll see you tomorrow morning, actually. All right? At 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. Bye-bye.